Welcome to Bleachers Speakers. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster, man. What's going on, B Foster?
Hey man, Christmas Eve. I'm feeling pretty good, man. Nice little present Pistons got us.
Yeah, before we talk about that, though, let's remind our viewers to subscribe to Bleachers Speakers on YouTube and follow us on the podcast aggregators. Make sure you type in post game podcast. I know that says Bleachers Speakers, but post game podcast for the Pistons, post game podcast, FFSN in your search. You'll see that logo that you see at the top of the screen, top right of the screen. Make sure you follow us. Make sure that notification bell is on. And so whenever we drop content, you'll get an alert. Foster, we start our 3-game West Coast trip. And I got to be honest, I said we'll be lucky to go 1-2. So by my logic, we've already met that expectation. But we got a win last night in LA for the second. We've beaten the Lakers twice this year. I don't think we've beaten the Lakers twice in 4 years prior.
You all together?
I don't think so. I think I'm going to look it up later, but I want to see when the last time we won versus the Lakers prior to this season. But I guarantee you it's definitely under 500. Guaranteed. But last night, went into LA and got a victory to start the West Coast trip. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better about playing Sacramento. And then we have that pesky Denver after that. So I did not expect to go unscathed without a loss, but I'm feeling pretty good about this team, man. And last night, Cade didn't have his best shooting night. He shot 9 for 25, but he still had a double-double. Beasley, hey, bro, I'm gonna say this, and I meant to tell you this yesterday. We cannot get rid of Beasley. He's that second scorer. He's been the most consistent scorer outside of Cade that we've had on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally you don't want him to be the second option. I think that he's still
have Ivy as your second option, but you don't want your bench player, your sixth man, to be your second option. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I mean, he surprises me in some instances because he is able to create his own shot a little bit, and he's a little bit more athletic than he leads on. You see him, punching some dunks every once in a while in transition. So, yeah, I don't know I don't know where it's coming from, but I appreciate it, and we have leaned on him a lot this year.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like you got that third scorer in him, and Ivy played pretty well last night. I don't want to slip on Ivy. Ivy played very good last night, and he tends to do that versus the Lakers, it seems, these last 2 games. Mr. My City says, my guys, what up, though? Let's effing go. Trade Tobias for Coney. Hey, man, he started off the season, being what we thought he was, and then he's cooled off a little bit. But I think he still provides a threat. He's out. He's hustling. He's trying. He's trying. But I put it like this, man. I've been mad since the other day. I had him on a FanDuel slip for 8.5 points, and he had 8 points in the third and did not score another point. And he had several attempts to score in the fourth.
He tried to help you out.
I'm gonna try to whoop it. You know what, Foss? You don't have to use what I say against me, bro. We're on the same team. This is post game podcast. We're on the same team. You don't have to do that. But still, I was expecting him to get 9 points. Last night, I think Mr. My City is referring to last night. 6 effing points, just enough. I mean, yeah, but I don't want to talk about the best. I like what I'm seeing from Holland. I like what I'm seeing from Thompson off the bench as well. Those guys, Holland is providing more than I thought he would. I'm thinking he's just one of those players that was gonna be back and forth to the G League his first year. I'm thinking for certainly he's not gonna play a lot once Thompson gets back, but he's starting to play and find his niche in his role, and that's to defend and run the floor, and he's doing that, and we're gonna need it. We're gonna need it. His defense is valuable, his athleticism is valuable, and I like what Thompson I always been a fan of Thompson. I was happy when he got drafted, and I like what I'm seeing so far early. He's attacking that rim. He's attacking the rim. Uh, it's good to see when the Pistons have an off night, when Cade have an off night shooting, and you still beat a quality team like the Lakers. Like, he was 9 for 25. Mr. My City says, "Gotta keep it 100 about Tobias, though. He ain't it. I really like Holland and Reed. Clintman was dressed last night, too. Didn't know that. Could
Mhm.
his debut this week." Foster, you didn't tell me this.
Yeah, it was late, so but yeah,
Talked
they
all
end.
day, though. We talked all day. You could have told me that today.
Oh, I didn't really think about it, especially since he didn't play. But yeah, that was actually the first time that he was dressed and available. He didn't play, um,
Okay.
but yeah, he was back with the team. So I'm sure we'll see him soon. And yeah, I mean, as far as Tobias Harris is concerned, we just don't have a lot of options right now. I mean, I think it's going to take a lot for him to be just full on benched. But I mean, Isaiah Stewart is still out, so we're kind of thin at the 4 position. I think Paul Reed is going to just hold down that backup center position at least while Stewart is out. But he looked good. He looked good.
Yeah. Mr. My City says, "I hope y'all all start voting. Y'all all start voting every day." Yeah, we gonna get Cade on that All-Star ballot, man. One thing did they like scare Reed with the cutting, with the waving? They said, okay,
Yeah,
was that financial? Because he's been in the ball game. Uh, there's not a lot less DMP since they waived and brought him back.
I think the lack of DMPs is partially due to the Stewart situation,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I mean he really didn't get if realistically if they had decided to just full on release him, I really feel like they didn't give him a fair shake to really
No.
earn a spot. I think that the small opportunities that he did receive, he played all right. It just was mostly in garbage time, but um, he's an impactful defensive player, if nothing else. So yeah, I like what I've seen from him so far.
I have a random rant, man. Just out the blue. I gotta say this. They are not respecting Cade like they're supposed to. There was a sequence where Cade went around the back and went over LeBron for a score. If that was LeBron, that's an and one.
You feel like he got fired, fouled?
I feel like he got fired. I felt like that was an and one.
There was
And I
there
think
was some contact. I'd have to see how.
Cade felt the same way because he laid on the floor with his hands up, like, what is up with this?
Yeah.
But it was over LeBron, and they just let it play out. And I'm like, that's an and one. I didn't see the replay. I just saw the actual play, and they didn't call it. They kept playing, so I was like, oh well, that's crazy. But it's on highlight reels all on Instagram. That particular play, and I'm like, man, that's an and one. And I think it's a lack of respect for Cade. They don't, and that not just that play. He gets fouled a lot, and they don't call anything. And he goes to the rack a lot.
Yeah, that mid range though, when he's on with
Ooh.
that move is almost unstoppable. They just you can't do anything when a guy is rolling like that in the mid range.
Your boy made a couple plays too last night, Foss.
Who's that?
Timmy Hardaway Jr.
He has been solid as of late. It's certainly in the last two. The Suns
Mhm.
game as well. We kind of we talked about it. We talked about it in the Central Division show. There's two constants.
Okay.
Beasley and Cade, for the most part, are gonna be there for you. You don't know what you're gonna get with Duran. You don't know what you're gonna get with Ivy on a daily basis. But Fontecchio, I'm gonna say it now. He
He's catching fire.
may have found himself.
He's catching
Um,
fire.
yeah, he had a I knew I knew he was rolling when at the end of the half he kind of was stuck, but he kind of pushed the ball ahead of himself and faded away and hit a three off the glass at the buzzer. That had to have done a lot for him.
Oh
So
yeah.
he looks really, really good alongside Cade when he's penetrating to the basket. It always seemed like it was confidence with him. So if he can get going, that's gonna be major too.
Now you mentioned that Mr. My City mentioned along with yourself mentioned that Bobby Clipman was dressed. Where does he fit as far as a role here? Does he get many minutes? Because I think after Stewart gets back, you're going to even reduce the role of Reed, let alone Clipman. I don't think there's a lot of minutes for him. You're muted or something. Yeah, can't hear you. This always happens. Okay. So my thing is you bring if Clintman was dressed last night like you guys say, like where does he fit in? And I think once you bring Stewart back, there's going to be less minutes for Holland. There's going to be less minutes probably for Thompson. There's going to be less minutes for Reed unless Clintman is that much better, which I doubt. With him being a rookie, I don't. My expectations for him is to just be in a development type of of role. And Mr. My City says if he shows up immediately, he can have Tobias minutes. I don't know what's up with Tobias. Like my expectation when he got here was to be a double digit scoring. Now, whether it's just 10, but I expected at least 10, right? And I've been really paying attention to him the last few games, and it's been single digit city. And he's a starter. He gets a lot of minutes, he gets a lot of opportunities. The shots aren't falling. Um, I don't know. I think, and then what's crazy is that's the reason why he's not in Philly, because when they had the playoff run, they blamed him as being the weak link. They always had something negative to say about him, and I think uh, ultimately, that was his demise to where they said we have to make a decision, and uh, he was able to walk without no kind of uh, without no kind of kickback or, they was able to let him go. No, there's something wrong with your cord probably because it's not when you hit it. There's some kind of static, and I can hear like some feedback. You might want to check your settings. Hold on, you're muted now. Unmute yourself. No, still can't hear nothing. Mr. My City says he can't make a shot to save dying dog's life. I mean, his shot is definitely off as of late. Like I said, he started at the beginning of the season, um, and he was pretty reliable as far as getting, yeah, I mean, he used to start off the game scoring in the very beginning. He was the first one, usually the first one to score, but he's not that. Yeah, I think it's the cord. I think it's his cord. But one thing for sure, now that you mentioned it, Mr. Fly City, I always said Tobias Harris was not the ideal four that we wanted to have on our team to start. I think if you can put Tobias Harris in a situation where he can come off the bench and if he can give you 8 or 9 points off the bench, that's fine. I just can't have you have starters minutes and getting that many shots and still only giving me 8 or 9 points. 6 digits, 6 points last night was just not it for me. So what do you do? Um, I don't know. Um, I don't know. We're relatively small right now with without Isaiah Stewart, and you've been bringing Isaiah Stewart off the bench. I always wanted to know what it would be like now with Isaiah Stewart and Duran on the court at the same time. But then again, I don't know if I want to see that. You definitely don't have a backup for your center if you do that. So I don't know. Yes, Mr. My City, it is a USB, not an XLR. That is a Blue Yeti, and it's USB for him. So, and you know what's crazy? We just got through talking about uh, technical difficulties, and they can happen at any moment. So I don't care how good your equipment is. I use digital cameras. Um, I don't use my webcam. Uh, I don't use webcam at all. And one day I was doing a show, and I was a guest of somebody else's show, and the camera just went out. Now, fortunately, my audio was still working, and then I was able to interact and talk on the show, but they couldn't see me. So what I had to do was I had to literally leave out the room and come back. So, um, yeah, your trusty MXL 990. Yeah, that's a good joint there. Um, I mess with it. I didn't know you do blogging or anything, Mr. My City. Maybe one day we can have you on the show, man. I mean, you be in the audience a lot, man, and we'd love to have you. Yeah, we could use some of your some of your Detroit expertise. Let's see. Foster is back. We're going to see what's going on. Say something, Foss.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I don't know why everyone.
It stuff happens, bro. It happens. Look, let's take a quick commercial and then we'll regroup and we'll come back to this. If you're watching, we'll be back in 6 seconds. If you're listening, you're going to hear some wonderful ads. B. Foster's back.
I'm back.
What'd you have to do?
Just reset my computer.
And sometimes that stuff happens, man.
Yeah, it just happens out of nowhere. Like I didn't touch anything. It just.
Well, the thing is, man, some stuff happen when it comes to technical difficulties. Sometimes they just happen without rhyme or reason. They just happen. But they say one thing you do when you troubleshoot, if you call any kind of computer expert or whatever, if you have any kind of software issues, they tell you reboot. That's the first thing they tell you to do. Reboot. If that might be the end of your issues right there.
Yep.
So, when I was working for a hospital, and I was manager of the cafeteria, and they had the computers the software they use for the cashiering. And anytime there was a problem, you knew to reboot first before you call them, because that's the first thing they're gonna tell you to do. Reboot. Did you reboot it?
Right.
And a lot of times when you reboot it, the problem goes away. So, not saying that was happened with this scenario, but yeah. Yeah. See, Mr. My said, he says you're crystal clear now.
Bet. Oh, but we were talking about where do the minutes come from when Klintman gets here?
Yeah.
And if Clinton is any good and is any way ready to play, it's going to force us to make a move because I feel like Ron Holland, I mean, especially with them standing firm with Tim Hardaway in the starting lineup. And so who plays? Okay, so you got Cade and Ivy starting. You got Tim Hardaway playing the three, and Beasley being the sixth man. I mean, Holland's been playing the four, right?
Yeah.
So right now you got Stewart is the backup center when he comes back, and then you got Reed either getting DNPs or playing little to no minutes, playing behind Stewart at the five, or you got it's either it's going to be Clinton or Holland right now, or Sar Thompson. Everybody can't,
Everybody can't go. Somebody gonna have to have a seat.
And Sasser, as good as Sasser's been playing, there's no route for him to play.
Man,
he's been unless he plays, runs the second unit. But I think for the most part, they'd rather have Ivy run the second unit and him and stagger his minutes with Cade. So, I mean, Tobias, like I said, I feel like it's going to take a lot for Tobias, especially at at the amount they're paying him. It's going to take a lot for him to lose his. It's going to take a lot for him to lose his minutes. Certainly, to Bobby Clement, just doesn't.
Yeah, and you know what? Mr. My City says, "Surprise, Sass got no run last night." Sasser has been playing some good basketball, and it's like one of the announcers, I can't remember if it was Greg or George, and said, "Man, one thing, this young man does not get discouraged when he get those DNPs. Whenever he's called upon, he comes in and he produces, and whatever capacity they need him, if they need him to score and they need him to shoot, he's there, and he's whenever his number's called, he's there." So he's a very valuable member of the team. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just a tricky situation where there's just not a whole lot of opportunities when you got guys like Beasley who's playing, nearly at an all-star level. I mean, that's a bold statement, but they kind of play the same role.
Yeah.
So,
what impressed you most about last night? Did you get a chance to watch the game? I fell asleep.
Yeah, so I fell asleep at halftime, but going into halftime, I stated this back when Asar Thompson was coming back, that once we get to creating fast break opportunities off of turnovers, that's going to be a scary version of our team. And I feel like every time I looked up, Austin Reeves was turning the ball over, and we were trying to run them out the gym with Ron Holland, Asar Thompson, Cade. He's connected with Asar on a bunch of fast breaks. Hold on, let's read this. But Mr. My City says, sidebar, so how y'all think Marvin Bagley feels with the losing he's had to endure? Oh my God. He's because between the Kings, Pistons, and Wizards, he doesn't know what winning. I don't think he's ever even been in a playoff race. Because the Kings got good as soon as they got him out of town. But they had we first of all they turned the ball over 18 times last night. Reeves is a decent ball handler, but he is not what they're trying to make him out to be. It looks like
he's a wing.
Yeah, he's a wing. He can handle the ball, but he just can't be tasked with the primary because they got D'Angelo Russell coming off the bench right now. So so when LeBron's out on the floor and Reeves out there playing point, it just didn't go well for them, and it really hurt them. It kind of felt like it kind of was nice to see what it felt like to be the team creating the turnovers and not on the other end of it, because I think they outturned us. So they had, I think, 6 more turnovers than we did.
Mr. My City says the Pistons never let up last night. They were consistent on the defensive end. I repeat, they were consistent on the defensive end. You know what's crazy is I'm watching the game last night, and I remember the score. The Lakers went up 26-16. I'm like, oh boy, it's going to be one of them. And the Pistons scored 5 straight points to make it 21-26. And I'm like, okay, we got something going now. And they just stuck with it. They created turnovers. They capitalized off turnovers. They were actually not the team that you're fussing about turnovers about. Usually, whenever I watch the Pistons, as soon as they turn over, I just yell turnover. As soon as it happens, right?
Right.
I found myself, saying, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because they turned it over more than I was yelling turnover about for the Pistons. So they were active on the defensive end. And Foster, don't look now, but I think your boy is starting to learn some defense a little bit. Well, Mr. Duran, he's played a lot better defensively this year than he has last year. Even though a 6'1" guard would score over him every now and then, he'd get dunked on by a Utah Jazz shooting guard. But still, he's had some very good flashes on the defensive end. He's starting to get active.
And he went,
go ahead.
He went 7 for 7 against the Suns. He had 17 points and went 7 for 7. So that's
that first quarter versus the Suns, he got about 3 alley-oops in the first quarter. He was just running to the rim. And
that's his bread and butter for sure.
He needs to pay attention to what he did versus Phoenix, and he can do that a lot more than he doesn't do it. Mr. My City says Holland created like 3 steals in a row in the third. Then Ivy got one right after. It was fun to watch. Yeah, I think what they can do, and I think what the Pistons can do and what they're capable of is playing better defense than they have been as compared to last season. You have a bona fide defender in Oscar Thompson, which you knew you had. You have Holland. He's a hell of a defender himself. Isaiah Stewart is a good defender, and Cade can play some defense. And Ivy's athletic enough and fast enough to where he can at least play good positional defense. So I think they have the makings of being a good defensive team. And Bickerstaff is known for preaching defense. So I think if they buy into what he's selling and they put a little bit more effort, they can be one of those teams that can, really, really clamp down on the other ones. But there's always those 40-point quarters that really, really irk my nerve. Giving up 48 to Utah, that's going to hurt for a long time because I was disgusted last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I keep saying a 3-game road West Coast trip. It's 4 games. Phoenix too. So yeah. And won the last 2. Correct.
Yeah.
It's a 2-game winning streak. We didn't say that many times last year. 2-game winning streak.
No, we're about to hit. I think they said that we only won 14 games last year, right?
Yes, sir.
So we're at 13.
We had 13 by December.
So,
yeah. When is the next game?
I think it's the day after Christmas, if I'm not mistaken.
It would be really, really good on the 26th for us to win game 14 because we didn't win. I mean, we had 14 games at the end of when the season's over, May,
April, yeah.
So, hey, Mr. My City says we need a reliable ball handling guard and a defensive presence in the paint that can alter a shot just from teams thinking about him there, rebounding and at least capable of getting up 20 a night. That's a tall task, but you had me until you said 20 a night along with that.
Yeah, that's who was that, Giannis? Or
yeah. So yeah, I think any team in the NBA could use that.
Yeah.
Realistically, what we have We don't have a reliable ball handling guard. I'm going to say this again. I think Cade. I can't really remove him from being the primary handler because he's getting double doubles and triple doubles often. So I can erase the fact that he turns the ball over, but he's getting triple doubles and getting 5-6 assists a night. So along with scoring 20. So
I think he's
give it,
third in the league in assists right now.
leave him there at the point guard. I mean, being the primary handler. Mr. My City has settled for 14 points. That's still kind of MSU Detroit fan says if we can at least beat the Kings on Thursday, I'll call this road trip a success. It doesn't matter what happens against Denver. Absolutely. I'm one of those that said that we will probably these next 3 games after we beat Phoenix, we'd only win 1. So if you factor all in, if you go 3-4 out of these 4 games, definitely a successful road trip. Definitely. And I think it's a confidence builder as well. Because you beat these teams out here, then you go back to the East, and as long as it's not Boston and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got a shot versus the Knicks. Like I think we can beat the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? And just Boston and Milwaukee, we have our troubles with them. Absolutely. They have their way with us. They just do. Mr. My City said we can beat Denver. Have Drummond.
Is Drummond the key to beating Denver? I don't think he is, but
no. No, but you know what? Denver has not been playing like they've been in the past few years. I think they're like the 9th, 10th seed there in the West. They're not what they once were, and I don't know why. I haven't got a chance to watch them, but a guy like Joker, he's scary.
Denver's 5th.
Denver's 5th. Okay. They played a lot better as of late because at one point they was like 8 or 9.
I think in 2 consecutive years they lost Bruce Brown and then they lost Caldwell Pope last year. Yeah. And those guys, I mean, you know what you're going to get with Jokic and Murray, Porter when he's healthy, but those role players, those complementary role players, they're a bigger impact. Trey Paul Reed back to Philly.
That's from MSU Detroit fan. He says, hot take, Trey Paul Reed back to Philly for Andre Drummond. I think that ship has sailed. I think 3 or 4 years ago, I was like, bring him back. But I think that I saw his haircut last night, and I was like, no, let him stay.
That's what did it for you?
Yeah, it was the hair was everywhere. So, Mr. My City says Drummond is a guy I wouldn't mind having as that big. I was talking about the last comment was a mashup. I tried to work with it, Mr. My City. I tried to work with your comment. I just didn't.
I just don't know if he's an impact. Like, is he a guy that's? Yeah, nah. He's for whatever reason you would think that he would be. He's an amazing rebounder. We all know that, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't defend the rim the way you would think he would.
Not
and
like
he fouls a lot. He just fouls a lot.
Yeah. I mean, are you better off with the way it is, or do you bring him along? Do you give up Reed for Drummond?
Essentially, you don't need them both. I get that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about like currently you got Duren and you got Isaiah Stewart coming off the bench. Do you improve your team bringing along Drummond for those things that you want?
I see him averaging 8 points a game. That's not bad. but he's playing Paul Reed's role that he played at that he played in Philly. So the one thing I do like about Paul Reed is that offensively he's a little bit more versatile. He's younger. He's they both guys that can get steals and make deflections. But that's why does Philly make that trade? That would be my question. What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they would make that trade. Mr. My City said he wants to be here, and he's referring to Drummond. That's a different type of player or a guy looking forward to put that Pistons jersey back on. He also says 8 is almost 14. Remember, Foster, you said he can get you 8, maybe. 8 is almost 14. Mr. My City says Tobias said he wanted to come back, but obviously ain't about that life. MSU Detroit fan says averaging around these veteran role players, guys, we have. I don't know. But I do remember me also making references to bringing Drummond back in years past.
The thing is that if he wanted to be here, he could have signed with us this past year if that made sense for everybody. He was just a free agent, right?
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Whether the organization didn't want him, or he's been very vocal about, because he's a journeyman. He's played everywhere, but for whatever reason, that's just not in the cards. And Duran's already here, and he plays the same exact way to an extent.
Yeah. MSU Detroit fan says Bobby Clinton loading.
We'll see. He didn't exactly dominate at the G League level. So, I know he was just getting his feet wet and getting back comfortable, but
Mr. Monson said Trajan has some kind of plan. He's referring to Trajan Langdon. Yes, absolutely. I think so. My question though, and we got to make this short because we have another show at 3:00. You can check us out on Bleachers to Speakers YouTube as well. We have another show where we're going to get with our get with our NFC North Division comrades, and we're going to have our North Division show. It's a Detroit Lions show where we sit down with NFL affiliate FFSN NFL affiliates from the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. So make sure you tune into that as well. And Foster, do you buy into the rumblings of acquiring Zach LaVine? I'm hearing that name again.
I don't know. It's gonna be ironically enough, if you're watching the visual side of things, you got Ivy embracing Asar Thompson. It's gonna have to probably involve him. And currently he's on an uptick right now, and we know that LaVine's his activity has yet to create a winner, and he's injury prone. He took elective for surgery over coming to us. Even granted, there's not a person alive that wanted to be a Piston last year, so I get that too. I don't know.
I didn't even want to blog on him last year, so I get it.
I saw them saying that we could possibly be a team. We could be a player in a three-way trade involving the Bulls, Nuggets, and us, where we would acquire draft capital and take on some salary because we opened up some salary. So there's a possibility that we hold put, that we stay put at where we're at with who we have, and just acquire assets in exchange for us taking on somebody else's salary. I at this point I can see that, but tough to say. A lot of stuff going on. We thought that there might have been something with the Paul Reed situation, so we'll just have to see. I don't. Right now, the team is gelling. we doubled up on that Suns performance with another good performance against the Lakers. I think that had we lost to the Lakers, we fall back and say, okay, once again, here we go. Cade and Beasley play, and everybody else, sits around. But the team came to play, had a complete effort again. So I don't know. They're confusing. We'll see if we blow out the Kings.
Let's slow down there,
because the Kings are struggling. The Kings have not. They got DeMar DeRozan, and things have not looked good. They're talking about De'Aaron Fox. They're talking about De'Aaron Fox looking for a trade. They are 12th in the West right now. So
yeah. The MSU Detroit fan says the Pistons are 1 win away from tying their win total from last year. Now, I want to focus on this question because once I read it, I had a question for you, Foster. There's a lot of variables that go into the difference between this year and last year. We had 13 wins, 14 was the total last year. And I'm pretty sure there's more than just one thing that attributes to the difference. I want to ask you, Foster, what's the main difference in this win total as opposed to last year? What do you think the main thing that caused it? There's a lot. So
I think the team overall has been pretty healthy. Yeah, I mean the team's been pretty healthy. Cade's missed a couple games, Hardaway's missed a couple games, Stewart's missed a couple games, but no extended injuries. I think that the veterans have played a big role. Even Tobias Harris, I really feel like this team has done a better job of, although we've blown some leads and had trouble closing out games. I think the veterans have done a good job of holding the team together, and I think that I just think that the floor spacing has been better. I think Cade himself has taken another step, even on the defensive side of things. I think he's taken another step, but I think that everybody has more so been able to play within their role. I think Isaiah Stewart coming off the bench as the first big man off the bench. I think that him being able to play his role has been a major factor. They have the lowest field goal percentage when he has defended in the paint in the entire league. I mean, that's insane for a guy that's like only 6'8". So, yeah, I think the veterans. I think that the veteran presence. I think the floor spacing, and I think that we've just been a little bit healthier. We had a lot of injuries. We had Monte Morris, Alec Burks, and Bojan Bogdanovic, but all were injured to start the year last year. So that's a lot of spacing that's a lot of spacing that you lacked at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and Mr. My City said a head coach that cares, and that's the first thing that came to mind is the head coach. I don't want to say Monty didn't care though. I just think JB has maybe got them to buy into his system of things a little bit better, and they're responding. So and it doesn't hurt to have some veteran leadership on the floor, which we did not have at the very beginning of the season last year. We had a bunch of really young team, and then now we have Tim Hardaway Jr. starting. You got Tobias Harris start. Your first person off the bench is Malik. So, you got some veterans that's leading this ball club in the locker room, and I think that has also made a difference. Mr. My City says Cade has turned the ball over less too. Yeah, I mean, if he hasn't turned it over less, he's definitely making a difference with these triple doubles. He's had several this year. I'm not sure if I know he didn't do it a lot last year, if he did any, but him getting as many triple doubles as he has, and he's like third in the league in assists, which I know wasn't mentioned last year. So I know he's distributing the ball and getting players. That means players are getting in the right position and he's delivering. He had a pass in traffic, bounce pass for a layup. And I was like, man, he threaded the needle with that one. He's a great passer. So yeah, we're starting to see differences in this team. Foster, I know we got another show, so we're going to go ahead. Foster, if you want to put a quick bow on this so we can get out of here.
Let's just see where we end this West Coast trip. We're off to an amazing start, and it provided even more confusion to whether or not this team is ready to contend. Do we stay put? Do we stack assets? Do we just go out and get a star? So we'll see how we conclude it, but we're looking pretty good. I like that we were able to double up and bounce back from that Jazz loss. It just goes to show that on any given night, you never know what you're going to see. Because I mean, who would have thought that you would lose to the Jazz at home and then win the next two in kind of resounding fashion for the most part. I mean, there were parts of that fourth quarter where we were up against the Lakers by double digits. So yeah, it just kind of shows where we can max out when everything is rolling the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, I get it, man. Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. We will be back live doing a Lion Show. So check us out.
Get your leg back.
And that's the wrong outro.